Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Nail in My Tire podcast. So today we're going to just talk a little bit about who we are, and then Becca and I are going to talk about how we met and how wild, really weird synchronicities can be even when you think you're not in alignment with anyone else or even with yourself. So my story started back, I want to say, well, I mean, all of our stories start when we're born, right, Becca? I mean,
for sure.
Realistically, but my spiritual journey really began when I was in Montana trying to escape from some negative things that were happening in my life back in Wisconsin. And I thought, what a better way to do that than go see my baby niece for her first birthday. And I brought my grandma, we drove over with a rental car, and I ended up hitting a moose at 80 miles an hour with a 2020 Camry. And before that, my brand new car that I purchased on a Monday hit a deer in Wisconsin on a Friday when my best friend was driving me back from a listing because I was a real estate agent. So the universe's way of telling me to wake the fuck up and do what I'm supposed to do is collisions with animals. It happens to me frequently. So if we're ever driving in the woods, maybe like wrap yourself in pillows. I don't know.
I really don't want to drive in the car with you in the woods. Like,
I don't
take me with you.
When I come visit, you do all the driving.
Maybe.
I'll drug myself so I don't feel the need to drive. But yeah, I hit a moose at 80 miles an hour and had to go through that journey. And then really quickly, in about a 10-minute span, decided that I was going to move back to Phoenix. In that 10 minutes, got a new job, got rid of my apartment, made sure everything was set up. And then after I did all of that without thinking about it, I literally just felt this need to do it. And I fucking did it. And then it was like, what the fuck did I just do? Right? Like, that's when all that fear sinks in, and it's like, oh my God, what are you going to do with your stuff? How are you going to get it out? How are you going to be, like, you're supposed to be out at the end of the month. You only have like 10 days till the end of July. You're still in Montana. You're with your diabetic grandmother. How the fuck are you going to do this? Right? Like, all of those limiting beliefs and all those thoughts come in that I no longer have thanks to Becca, which we'll get to in a minute. But it did. And then I ended up going to Wisconsin, driving back to Montana in a U-Haul with my mom following in my car that was finally fixed from hitting the deer.
Thank goodness.
Right. Back to Montana, and then came down here to Phoenix, was living with my former sister-in-law, who was no longer my sister-in-law, who never actually really technically was, which is a whole other weird thing. Anyway. And living back in Phoenix in the middle of a pandemic after being around people all the time. I mean, I was a college recruiter for high school students. I interacted with 400 new kids every week. And
yeah,
I
you're a huge
stimulation
people person.
Yes, and I love that stimulation because clearly I have ADHD and I'm all over the goddamn place. So that was nice. And then going from all of that human interaction to literally nothing. I mean, I even stopped drinking and going to a bar. You sat there and there was like this prison bitch glass, which I think is the first joke I told you when I met you.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I also do stand-up. So there's a lot of funny jokes that I come up with randomly and at goofy times. But I ended up starting driving Uber in that span of time because I still had social media marketing clients, and that was making enough to pay most of the bills. But, you know, I like shoes, especially Vans, and I wanted to buy more of them. So Uber was a good way to get out and meet new people and honestly not get cabin fever. Human connection is such a big part of your overall immunity and actual physical health. And I think this pandemic, a lot of people saw that when that component is missing, you're fucked. Like, you really can be. But I picked this girl up in the middle of like Scottsdale, like this very nice neighborhood at literally like 12:52, I think, in the morning, on a Friday, who got in the car and we hit it off immediately. The first thing I said, because it was Becca, clearly, but the first thing, I said to you was, hey, thank you for getting me back closer to home. And you were like, I have no idea where I am.
I was on a girls' trip. Let that speak for itself.
Yeah, yes, you were. You were on a girls' trip. You had no idea where you were. That's okay, because that's where you need good female Uber drivers in those late nights. Much safer.
Yep.
Yes. Not that I should probably feel super safe being a female Uber driver at that hour, but I really don't care.
Right, it goes both ways.
I have full faith that I'm going to be fine. I mean, there was the man with the gun, and I still ended up fine after that. He was just drunk and crazy, so it's fine.
Right, that's another story.
I have so many. So anyway, Becca and I are driving back to the part of town that I lived in at the time, and I got you to the house, and the whole while we start talking about me hitting a moose and moving down here and all these crazy things, and how I'm really getting into not just the law of attraction, but all 12 laws of the universe, and understanding spirituality and recovering all of those childhood traumas and deeply rooted things and understanding them, and how I had been in trauma counseling and was like looking into life coaching, and she's like, I'm a life coach. You did, and then we got into that.
Well, I remember too, we were talking about how like you felt like you were going through some kind of spiritual awakening, and how like since the pandemic and everything, like I'm pretty sure that trip was the first time that I had really gone out since the pandemic and like been around a lot of people, like a big group of people, and how like confined it felt that during the whole year of 2020. And so this was back in January, right? And how like the pandemic has caused so many people to wake up finally, and there's this worldwide awakening. And you were like, yeah, so like I feel like I'm going through the spiritual awakening, and I've actually been looking into hiring a life coach. And I was like, no way, I'm a life coach. And we looked at the clock and it was 1:11.
Yes, the ones. And you know what? Yes. Earlier today, before we started recording this, what did we just say? I was like, I've been seeing 3s and 1s and 9s and the 0s, and they're like coming at me. It's like our number, dude.
We have a lot of synchronicities. That's why like our like entire, since we've known each other, has
like that whole relationship, this whole thing, yeah.
The whole thing, it's like been like synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity.
Yes. I've had nothing but like crazy shit happen to me since I met you. In like the best way though.
In the best way.
In like the best way. Yes. Yeah. And then you left your charger in my car and I still have it.
The charger that I've never lost before. I've had that charger for like 3 years.
Yeah, I still have that.
And it's still here. Like it's not here with me, but it's with someone.
You still have it in an essence.
Yeah, in an essence, like it's still not lost.
Yeah, I use it to charge my laptop. Because it's the same thing, so.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, but we met in Uber, and I started with you middle of March. So, yeah, we had our first consultation call, and I was still living at the former sister-in-law's house. So I have moved 2 times since meeting you, and like 5 times in the last year, because my birthday's coming up. So my 1-year anniversary of hitting a moose was just June 28th. And I'm walking, I'm functioning.
That still blows my mind.
And it's crazy. And we'd completed our program and started doing this together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's wild. So you do a 12-week program. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So my 12-week, I do mostly 12-week programs with my clients because it's like just enough time for someone to actually work through all the steps of working on their mindset, because I'm mostly a self-love coach because I work with a lot of women, and this kind of started out like happening by chance, and it wasn't necessarily like something that I'd chosen, but for some reason, my clients have mostly been women who have experienced trauma in some way, like some way, shape, or form. And so it's really like the perfect amount of time for women to start using the tools in daily life, and enough time to like integrate habits and integrate the new mindset, because mindset is something that actually takes time and practice daily. And we can't actually, like, we can rewire our brain, but it takes time and
It's
it takes
that
practice.
compound interest
Yeah.
of those
And
daily
like
habits. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
the 12 weeks is really like seems to be the perfect amount of time for someone to actually like see a full transformation in their mindset, to where I lead them to a point where they actually feel confident enough to use the tools that I give them on a daily basis without any mentorship or guidance or help. But I fully believe that women, not just women in general, but everyone needs a cheerleader, and we all need someone. We need people. And I don't actually think that we should ever like suffer alone or
Yeah. No, that is so true. And oh my God, it's crazy because I really thought that I was so damaged. No, I don't know. I don't think it's that I thought I was damaged. I just thought that I had so much. I mean, we talked about this on the phone the other day too, right? Like
much to uncover.
the dark and twisty shit, right, that we feel is inside of us. And when I felt like that at my lowest, I felt like I needed to self-isolate. I did not ever want to project that onto any other person. But then people would come up and they would be like, oh my God, you're such a light. And I'm like, honey, it's storming up in here. Like, it's storming. I don't know what you're talking about.
You need other people to bring that out of you and like show that to you, show that part of yourself to you.
And you really helped me realize that, because I mean, I literally just went and lived with 5 people in a 3-bedroom house when we had first started, and I was like, yeah, I need to be around people. And you're like, yes, you do, but the right people. And I'm like, it's fine. It was not fine.
It was not fine.
And it's not them. And I want to clarify that too. Like it's not them. It was me. I was not a good fit. It wasn't. And that's okay.
Right. The energy was not a match.
No. And you know what? Let's touch on that real quick, because I think people assume that when they don't click, or like if someone doesn't like me, that's a me problem. No, dude, here's the thing too, in society, they'll be like, it's a them problem. And it's like, I say that a lot, so I'll call myself out here. Because it is a them problem, but here's the thing, it's deeper than that. It's not a problem. It just didn't work, and that's fine. There's 9 billion people on this goddamn planet. Like,
right. Right.
If one doesn't work, another one will. Like, come on. I mean, I had just had a trauma counselor that didn't work out. I had literally 3 weeks of sessions with you and got further than I did in 9 months. And that's not against her. That's not anything with her. That's just the way it works for me, because we were a better fit that way. Yeah.
Well, and like not everyone is meant to be on our journey or share the path with us for a long period of time. Like some people serve their purpose in our lives for a short period of time. Some people stick around longer. And it's like whatever we get out of whatever we need out of that relationship, I say spiritually or energetically, then that relationship or that friendship has served its purpose.
Yeah. I have a hard time with that.
I know. But
I
you've
do.
done really well at like you're actually like at a point where you realize that and you don't read into it too much or overthink it or like, why is this not working out? You actually get it now. Like you actually understand. And I've heard you say that, you know what, this friendship, like I think it served its purpose and I don't know, I think I'm okay. I'm all right with it. Whereas like when we first met, you were like, I don't understand what happened. Like, why is this not working?
Literally, you guys, like 2 months ago, I was like, oh, okay, why? What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. I don't get it. And like within 2 months, like I straight up came to Beka in a session and I was like, yeah, like this happened, but it's fine. If it circles back around, that's great. I know that I didn't do anything. I know this has to do with whatever they're going through, and I wish them the best. And I'm going to continue to cheer them on and support them, just not in the same capacity that I was. And I remember you were like,
right. And not take things like, not take it personally. You did not take that personally at all. That was like, nope, I know that like I'm secure in like how I handled this situation. I'm secure in myself and I know that it has nothing to do with me. And that's
even
like
when people attack me with their thesaurus.com definitions of words that don't make sense, instead of being like egotistical like I would have been in the beginning, I kind of just come into it and I'm like, the fuck are you trying to say? Like, I don't clarify, instead of being like, man, what did I do to you? You know, it's, and the thing is it really all changed for me in my sessions with you, in the work I was doing with you, but also in reading the Four Agreements.
yeah, that
In
book is
reading
amazing.
that, I literally did something I never do. I took the whole day and I did absolutely nothing but read that book and like take naps. And no, I wasn't hungover. No, I wasn't sick. That's all I did. And I absorbed more and cleared more out of my subconscious doing that and doing your journal prompts in that day, that when this particular situation we're discussing came about,
Yes. Yeah.
it was so much easier for me. And it's not about that other person or that other people or even a different entity. It was all about, what do I need to do for me to be my most successful, so that I can continue being a love and a light for these people, so that there isn't a storm going on in here, it is clear, and
Yeah.
I can be an even brighter light than what they were saying before.
I absolutely 100% agree with that, because I think the biggest takeaway from that is that self-love is not a selfish thing. Like showing yourself, yeah, like journaling and taking time for yourself is not all about, well, I just need to focus on me and not worry about anybody else, is not necessarily, I feel like can be perceived to some people as like, well, that's selfish. And really, it's the entire purpose of self-love and self-care is so that you can shed light on other people and show love to other people and show up as your absolute best self for the good of everyone around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm speechless. Okay, you have been doing this to me a lot. Like I never get speechless or quiet. It's crazy. I love it though.
No,
Yeah.
you're never speechless in the best way. In the best way.
I know. Yeah, but that's how we met. And it's crazy because I need to stop saying crazy. I need to go back to saying it's wild. I like that better.
I like wild. That's wild.
But I mean crazy in a good way. I like crazy in this sense.
Crazy's
in this
good.
context. I do.
In the right context, yeah.
Yeah. Everything in life is context, guys. But we met in a very crazy way, and I got your Insta and we just instantaneously connected from there. And I would have to say that is the most self-love I've given myself, is to actually, I don't want to say hire you because we became friends in it and that gives it such like a weird feeling, but yeah. I chose to work with you. right?
Yeah.
Because like we did work together.
We worked together 100%.
Yes.
You did the work, and I brought, oh my gosh, what was that? What did you say? What did you call it? It was like I'm the
you're
car
the
thing
damn. This was such a good God damn it, I always have
analogy.
really
Yeah.
good funny analogies. What did I use? Wasn't it like Bob the Builder? Isn't that what I said?
Yes. No, that was
Like
it.
it's
You
just like
used
Bob
another
the
one, but
Builder.
I like
You
the
brought
Bob
me
the
all the
Builder.
materials, but I put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought all of the things I needed, and I sat
Tools.
here and figured out what needed to get put together and
Yeah.
what parts of like the foundation were dry rotted or ate up by termites, and got rid of that and replaced it with better things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we have so many, and like this is why I wanted to become a life coach. And actually, because for me, I need to fully understand why something works and how something works before I dive into it. I don't pick up things very easily. Like I have to fully understand it. And when I learned that we do the work ourselves, we do the inner work ourselves, but sometimes and honestly, like in this day and age, there's an abundance of information everywhere. Like you can go anywhere and type in Google and find loads of information,
Right.
but like you almost like need a facilitator, like someone to bring the information to you in an organized way. And it's like I found the things and I learned the tools that I felt like were the most effective for women, the types of women that I wanted to help. And these are the things, and I put them all together, and I was like, this is what works. And here, like, don't just go on type in Google, like, how to heal. Because you're going to find
They're literally going to be like, rub aloe on it, and you're like, no.
Grab a tablespoon of coconut oil will heal your soul and all your trauma.
Or my favorite, just get Moldavite. First of all, it's not even a crystal, it's a fucking asteroid, okay? Like,
right. Or like some people think they need to go on this huge ayahuasca journey and like completely be reborn. But I'll tell you what though, whenever a lot of times, no, that's fine. And I'm all for it. But if you think you need to be like completely reborn and what you need to do is create the foundation first. You have to have that mindset foundation, and like some of the tools I use, like NLP and EFT and guided meditations and daily rituals and stuff like that. Like you almost need someone to be like, here, this is a personalized list of things that I think you need and can serve you for what you're trying to achieve.
Right. And here's something else I want to touch on. So some people, because I'm very vocal, clearly, I very rarely stop talking. But people, and I'm very open about all of the things that I'm doing in my life to continually better myself. Like, I'm very open about the fact that I have a personal trainer, that I go to physical therapy, that I had a life coach, that I had a trauma counselor, and I don't hide that from anybody. Because if somebody's going to choose to look down on that, then guess what? I don't want to fuck with you anyway, point blank. But a lot of people, when I would say that I had a life coach, there is kind of like when people have a trauma counselor, right? It's like you sit there, you cry about your problems, what are you doing? But people assumed that me having a life coach meant that I was coming to you and being like, hey, so like I did this fucking thing and like what should I do about it? Which never happened. Now, I will be honest, every time we had a session, I always have stories because I'm a very boisterous person. And I have a big personality, and that happens, and that's okay. And I love sharing my stories with you because they're
and I was so entertained by it. Like, look forward to our sessions every single time because I was like, I can't wait to hear how our week went.
Yes. Or like the time I called you and I was like, there's these guys at the abortion clinic, and I just went crazy. So.
With signs.
And my barefootness and my full hippie outfit. Which is a story, yes. But I never asked you, what should I do? I would say, this is what I did. this is how I feel about it. Can you give me your insight? I never once asked you, and you would never tell someone what to do, actually.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, I'd like for you to kind of give your insight on that stereotype, because I'm sure this isn't the first time that that's come up, right?
So absolutely, because whenever I do remember the discovery call that we had,
Yeah.
very first, yeah. So it's like a good feeler for both me and the potential client, because for me, it's like, are we going to work together? Is this person coachable, or does this person just want me to tell them what to do? And someone who's coachable is someone who is like already willing to do the work themselves and in a place where they can work on themselves.
You called it actionable intent, right? Or intentional action. Intentional
Yeah,
action. I totally screwed that up.
inspired action. But same thing.
Yeah.
Yes, because just like a therapist, or just I'm not a therapist or saying that I'm but the similarity in that situation, or that that relationship, is that you're being guided, or being my job is to empower you and to guide you and inspire you and help you do the work yourself. But it's never, my job is to not say, hey, this is what you need to do, or this is exactly what to do in this situation.
You're like
It's
a
for
real
you.
life spirit guide in a physical human body.
Yeah, it's like a
Essentially,
mentorship.
Yeah, yeah, because you're a life coach,
Right.
right? So, yeah.
It's like all about empowering you to do the work. And I absolutely love it that way, because I've actually never been somebody, which is really kind of funny. Like when I say I'm a life coach to people that like I grew up with, they're like, wow, that's funny, because I'm not the kind of person that will tell you what to do. I'm not the kind of person that's like, that's like, no, we're doing this. I've always been the person that's been super grounding to my friends and like to family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it makes, like, people actually listen to me and kind of like ask advice from me, because I'm not bossy.
So 1000%, I think what made our like coaching relationship work so well is that I definitely am that person. I mean, even as we're doing this, I'm definitely like, okay, this is what we're doing, and this
Yeah.
is what I think, and like, now I want you to tell me. And I don't come from a bossy realm whatsoever, but I will say I am a Leo, and when I was a child, that was very evident. I was the oldest of all the grandchildren, aside from, the ones that are much older that were already out of the house. So it was me and like all the younger boys, and I was the only girl. I ruled the roost. And I think that carried into my adult life. And as I started that healing journey and was doing that work with you this spring, that really came around tenfold. It made it so much easier and more comfortable, and like you were very much a safe space for me to say, hey, because I have an issue with authority, and if you ever would have told me what to do, I'd have been like, goodbye, ma'am.
No, I think it's actually what's interesting about that is that the clients that I have worked with are typically the same way, as far as like not wanting to be told what to do. And to be honest, like empowered women don't really like to be told what to do. And I absolutely love that. Like I will take the advice, and I also expect, like anyone in general, but like I expect my clients to take what they feel serves them and inspires them and work with that, and pick and choose like what, and you did this, like you picked and choose like the things that felt good to you and felt right for you, and applied them when you felt you needed.
That's what's crazy. So every week that we would have a session and I would have a story, because as everyone who is tuning in and listening and witnessing and engaging in this with us will soon learn to find out that doesn't already know me, I get into really goofy situations and it's hilarious. But every week that I would meet with you and I would tell one of those stories or say something, and I'd say, this is what I really think I need to work on, immediately your jaw would be like, no way, because literally that's what I wanted to do this week. And I'm like, holy crap, no shit. And our synchronicities have just been like right here the whole while. The only thing we can't sync up on is when we know what day of the week it is, because we both are not good at that. It's crazy and I love it.
It's been really fun.
It is fun though, because we roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So we met in the Uber and did our 12-week program. And in the midst of that program, I came up with this idea to embark on this. And I thought, what better way to do this than literally partner with you? Because this was something you've wanted to do for a while as well, right?
It was. Yeah. We brought it up a couple times to each other, like, yeah, I'm really wanting to do a podcast. And then we just kind of like veer off of the subject somehow. And then you'd be like, yeah, so I've actually been looking up names for a podcast. And I was like, no way. I actually was looking up how to start a podcast. And you're like, should we just do this together? Yeah. I was like, absolutely.
And yeah, it's crazy too, because when we first logged on before, starting this recording, we kind of talked about this. And I was like, I feel like we both are kind of in this realm of, hey, because I know I'm doing it with you and you're doing it with me, we're going to be holding each other accountable. And I don't know, I just think it's great that something so simple as a girl's trip leading to you having no idea where the fuck you are and needing to get home and ending up with an Uber driver who is one of the only females under the age of like 50 in this entire valley that drives Uber. But out of all of the cars that could have shown up at all of the random times that, people get picked up, it just happened to be picking you up, taking you back to where I lived because I was going to be done for the night until your ping came on. And then it hitting 111 and talking about what we talked about. And now fast forward, we're in July. This is 6 months later.
Yeah.
And we're at the end of my, program with you and we're embarking on this journey. I just think it's just here. It's super wild.
It's
to
wild.
Me. And in doing the work that I did with you and looking back on things, I think about all of those synchronicities and the things that I missed when I was like still asleep, And now that I've been awakened, even before you, but my relationship with you has really opened my eyes even farther and expanded my mindset even farther into really paying attention to those synchronicities. Because I never thought I would become an Uber driver. I really didn't. I did it out of loneliness, boredom, and I wanted to buy vans. Like, that's seriously where it came from. And I have met just the most incredible people through there. I mean, my current roommate, Uber, who's become basically like a big sister / aunt, whichever way you want to go with it, but one of my best friends, Uber. Yeah. I mean, just today, before we hopped on the call, I met that other lady, and it's one of the best things that I've ever done that I never thought I would do.
And I wanted to add too, like, we have, we tend to overlook the synchronicities and claim them as coincidences and ironies, but I think if we take a closer look and like take responsibility, absolutely nothing in life is a coincidence or an irony. I literally think that we should pay closer attention to all of the synchronicities because there are answers, there are our guides, there are intuition, and if we pay closer attention to it, we will actually not feel like we're completely lost.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest takeaways of the synchronicities and learning from our relationship together is everybody, we often freak out about which choice we make, and this is where the anxiety comes in. And I can relate to this. I still do this on occasion. I'm not perfect, but instead of actually picking, we freeze, right?
Yeah.
and we freeze. And I was raised in an environment of which if you choose the wrong thing, you'll be punished. That's how I was raised. And that was the religion and the environment and the mentality and the proximity, like the actual physical location and mindset of everybody around me.
Like implemented onto us.
But here's the thing.
From an early age.
Exactly, we're conditioned that way. But here's the thing. The universe already has it all figured out. And we are part of the universe. We're all linked in, we're all connected that way, right? We're all just living different experiences or simulations, as half of my part of my generation believes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Gen Z, right?
I'm on the cusp. There's my dramatics. I'm on the cusp.
Yeah. No, I actually love like the fact that I'm a millennial and you're
I'm
a Gen
a hybrid.
You're a hybrid. It's fine. You don't have to claim the rest of your generation.
You know what?
No, for all of you Gen Zers listening, we love you.
We do. And it's not that I don't want to identify. It's just that I don't like the label of it. I just don't. I barely like the label of saying I'm a lesbian or that I'm gay. I really just like to go with, hi, I'm Ravyn, like the bird with a Y, and I think women look better. I'm sorry. It's nothing against men. And I'm not sorry about that. I'm just like, I'm apologizing for the fact that men think they're not, but like, you're just not to me, and that's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Like it is
fine, and yeah. No, I just don't like the labels.
No, 100%. I think it's more like social media, you know,
right. Right. But no matter what choice you make, regardless of what it is, you're choosing the outcome based on your intuition and your guides at the time. And there's no such thing as a missed opportunity because it will circle back around. And this is something
until you grab it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Me hitting deer the whole time I was in Wisconsin, I knew intuitively that I didn't need to be there. I knew that it wasn't what was good for me. I knew that.
Yeah.
But again, that was 9 years that I spent with my grandmother one-on-one that I would not have gotten otherwise. And I went through experiences there in that time frame and in college and in jobs that I learned so much. And again, that wasn't a missed opportunity because I still ended up back here. And I met you at the time I met you. And it is all divine timing. And you know what? I could be on a totally different life path. And right now, that same life path, had I have chosen that, is happening at the exact same time this is happening. But we'll get into quantum physics another time.
In our next podcast.
Yeah. But that is how we met. And that is kind of your role in things, right? With spirituality is the life coaching and such, and our journey together.
Yeah, and I absolutely love to, like, I want to add, like, as a life coach, it's definitely something like to keep in mind. If you've ever thought about hiring a life coach or working with one, is that they are on their own journey as well. And no one's perfect. Like, even I actually go to a therapist. I went to a therapist for 4.5 years now, and I'll always go to a therapist. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. I just like to have, I think everyone needs someone, at least one person, not multiple people, that serve different purposes in our life. And, you know, everyone needs someone to empower them or
and
to
be unbiased.
Yeah. And but you know, like my therapist actually said, in our last session, I walked in and she was actually crying, because of something that had happened with her previous session. And it was actually just like a really humbling thing, because to see her cry, and her, like, she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for crying. Like, I didn't want to start our session this way. And I was like, that just lets me know you're human.
It humanized her. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, it felt really good for me to see. And I think we all need to see that. And it's just, everyone needs we need people, we need each other, and we all serve different purposes in our life. But I'm also on my own spiritual journey, and that's why like I really wanted to start this podcast, because I have, you know, my views and my stories, which is why I do what I do, because life coaching actually helps me on my journey. It serves me.
Yeah.
Like this relationship between me and you, like the synchronicity and the whole thing was actually like I gained something from every one of our sessions. I
I'm
really
glad.
did. I would walk away and be like, wow, that was really eye-opening, or, you know, something
I'm
really
really
interesting
glad to hear
always.
that. Yeah, so I would say, kind of on an end note, what's really crazy for me in this journey that I've embarked on thus far, especially in my sessions with you, is I had a blocked throat chakra. Now, that's not because I don't talk enough. That's because I wasn't speaking the truth aloud enough to the right people. And I just had a new chakra balancing done like in the last 2 days, since the last major expression of my truth to my parental figures came out, and I no longer have a blocked throat chakra. I've been able to say things that I never thought I would say out loud and that I would never write down. And that, I have to say, that is probably the biggest thing that I've noticed. Everyone else says that they notice everything, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But I'm turning 24 in 18 days, and this was going to be my last year alive on Earth. Now, this is a bit of a trigger warning for some people, and I want to give that disclaimer, but like, I literally didn't want to live past 25. I was so miserable, and I was living in those traumas and in those situations and in that dark and twisty thunderstorm in my head. And I didn't think that it was ever possible to get a way out. And I figured 25 was a decent number. You're at your quarter life. I kind of thought my grandparents wouldn't be around anymore, and thank God they are, and they better be forever, because I have a very severe, borderline unhealthy attachment to my grandmother of codependency that I'm not ashamed of at all. Um, but I did, and I had a full plan for 25. So about to turn 24 and having this discovery that I have so many plans moving forward and so many things to look forward to, I am just super grateful for the role that you played in that part of my healing journey. So thank you for that.
That really means a lot to hear that, because like I never think that anything is ever one-sided, and I truly believe that like we cross paths for a reason. So it was like really beautiful, like connection, that we were like spiritually guided to each other. That's why I'm like so excited for this podcast, because I think it was meant to happen.
I do too. I'm a firm believer in all of that. But I did, and I wanted to share that with you because I don't think I've actually told you that yet either, because we did not meet last week.
No, that means so much.
Yes, and I kind of wanted to share it on here too, because I feel like I'm clearly not the only person that has thought this way or gone through this or had that thought. And I don't ever want people to think that it's not okay to share that, because it is. I'm definitely not ashamed that I felt that way. And I've told both my parents this. I think the only person I haven't told this to is my brother. And if he decides to listen, here you go, kid. But, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, in a nutshell, that is who Beka and I are in this. And you'll learn plenty more about us as we go. We have some pretty exciting topics coming up, so stay tuned for more of those coming forward. Anything you want to add before we kind of run away from the world?
Nope, that's all. We already have so many awesome spiritually related, some some just really interesting topics that we're going to cover soon.
Yes, and another thing, you just reminded me of something I want to add real quick. Everything is spiritual. there is no such thing as something that is not spiritual. And what I mean by that is that if you as an individual, you feel something is spiritual to you and it's healthy and it's not doing any harm to you or harm to another person, that is acceptable. That is spiritual. Just because it might not be for me or it might not be for Beka or anybody else in your life, if it's for you, it's fucking spiritual. End of the conversation.
You gain insight and grow and heal in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So I want to end on that note, and that being said, all of our topics are spiritual. So there's that. But thank you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, whatever platform you use this on. Please feel free to reach out, ask us any questions. Let us know anything you want to learn more about us or hear about in general. But we do appreciate you and thank you.
Bye.